Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, coming to you back from the DLAcademy, and this is part 2 of the Sudoku Solver tutorial series where we teach you how to make the algorithm and the Python solution for a Sudoku solver. So we can solve any Sudokus out there in a matter of seconds. This course requires you to know Python, so if you don't know it, make sure you go check it out to our link and get 50% off on TheDLAcademy.com. So let's get started. Let's start by creating our Sudoku array. So let's create a variable called Sudoku and make it equal to a 2D array. So an array with arrays inside of them. So brackets and then brackets inside the brackets like this. It's going to be a 9 by 9 array, so make sure you repeat it 9 times. I'm just going to copy and paste just to make it go faster. Now, we were using the example that we found online. Alright, so let's just copy these numbers, and in the cases where there's no number, we're just going to put a 0. Alright, so we created our Sudoku array. Which is our 9 by 9 array. And let's make a function that prints the Sudoku. So let's define a function called print Sudoku. And then this takes as parameter is going to be the Sudoku. So let's just type in S. And then we're going to be saying for I in range of 9, print Sudoku with the element I. So this just prints every single row in a very nice fashion. So now we can say print Sudoku and then pass in the Sudoku. Let's just run the program. And then as you can see, it printed the Sudoku for us. Alright, this is nice. Now the next step is to make, as I explained earlier, the function that gets all the possible answers. These possible answers, we need a function that returns them for us. So let's create it. Let's create the function. Let's call it get all possible answers. And this function is going to be taking the Sudoku array as a parameter and also the I and j coordinates. So let's create the array. As I explained it, we can call it anything. Let's just call it possibilities, PO, equals, add brackets, and then we're going to be saying I in range, and then we're going to be start at 1, we end at 10, and we have the step of 1. And what this does is it simply creates an array that goes from 1 to 9. Alright, so we have all the numbers from 1 to 9. These are all the numbers from 1 to 9. And let's make this a 2D array. So let's make this a list inside a list. Let's add a second parameter. We'll be making it equal to 0 for now. And a final third parameter, which is also going to be a list of 2 elements, 0 and 0. Now what this is going to be a 2D array. So this is an array. Inside we have an array with all the possibilities. We also have an index. This is going to be the index. And this is going to be an x and y coordinates. This is going to be useful later because, well, you'll understand why later. For now, it's not too important to understand. Just make sure you understand that this part is all the possible answers that we can have at a certain point. This is the point, so we can keep track of where the possibilities are from, or like what's the position. And this is the index, so that whenever we go back, we can increase the index so that we can use it later on. Now, after we did this, we're going to be saying for, let's create a variable called a in range. So this goes from 0 to 9. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking the rows. So checking the rows. So we're going to go loop through the row, and all the numbers that we find, we want to remove them from the possibilities, because now it's all the numbers from 1 to 9. If we find a number, we remove it. That's simple. So we're going to be saying, we're going to be typing a try and except statement, because we're removing elements from the array, and sometimes we remove an element that is not present in the array, and that may cause an error. So make sure you type in a try and a catch. We're going to be saying PO for possibilities 0, so that we access this part of the array, dot remove Sudoku. This is going to be the index I, the I, and this is going to be, for the second, we're going to be A, because we're going to type in A because we're looping here. A is the thing, is the variable that goes from 0 to 9. So this is our current row, and this just loops through, goes from left to right through the columns. All right. So that's it for this loop. We can say for B in range, it's the same range for the columns. So here we're saying checking the columns. All right. We're going to be try and catch again, try and accept, pass, and then here we're going to be saying PO dot remove Sudoku, and then we're going to be typing B and then J. J, because we're not changing column, we're just looping through the rows. We're going down. All right. So this is why the B is the first element and J is the second. Now we have to check the 3x3 squares. 3x3 squares, and this is a bit more complicated because we need to know, for example, I have a point. I'm at this point right here, which is 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. This point is 0, 4. I need to know that 0, 4 is the second square, and that if I was at 0, 7, this would be the third square. Right? We need a way to determine. So let's create new variables. Let's create a variable called C equal to 0 and D equal to 0. All right? And then we're going to be saying if C is less than 9, if I is less than 9, I, which again is our position. So here, if let me go back to this. Let's say this is position 0, 7. So I would be equal to 0 and J would be equal to 7. So if I is less than 9, let's make C equal to 9. Else if I is less than 6, we'll make C equal to 6. And if else if I is less than 3, we'll make C equal to 3. All right, and you'll see the use of these variables in a very short time. Now let's do the same thing for the J, and J will be associated with the D variable. So if J is less than 9, we're going to be saying D equals to 9. Same thing again, J is less than 6, D equals to 6, and else if J is less than 3, we're going to be saying D equals to 3. All right, so we have a variable. Let's say, now what this does is, like, let's say I equals 4. So it goes down. It's 4 is less than 9, so C equals 9. But 4 is also less than 6, so C equals 6. And then it's going to go through the last one. Is 4 less than 3? No, so C is just going to stay 6. All right. Let's say I was equal to 2. All right, 2 is less than 9, so C equals 9. 2 is also less than 6, so C equals 6. But 2 is also less than 3, so C equals 3. So we end up with 3. All right. Now what we can do is just make a for loop. So let's make two for loops. for x in range, and then here the range is very important. We want to go from so x is also associated with I, which here is associated with C. All right. So x, we go along the x-axis. So what we can say is we start from C minus 3. We go all the way to C with a step of 1. So let's say C was equal, our position is 0, 4. All right, C will be equal to 6. So we start at 3 and we end up at 6, which is exactly what we want in the x coordinates. So we start at 3, which is here, and we end up at 6, which is here. So we start here, we start at the 1, and we end up at the blue square right here. Let's do the same thing for the y direction. So for y in range, and then we're going to be saying d minus 3. We go all the way to d with a step of 1. And then all we have to do is, again, don't forget the try and except statement. Here we simply pass. And then in the try statement, all we do is we check if Sudoku with x comma y, if this is equal, no, if this is not equal to 0, then we'll say the possibilities array, we take the 0 index or the first element dot remove, and we simply remove Sudoku x and y. So basically what we're doing here is that we're looping in a certain range. So we're going, for example, from 3 to 6 in the x, and here same thing, let's say 0 to 3 in the y. And then what we do is, like, if this number is not equal to 0, we simply remove it from our all possibilities array. So for example, what this does is simply loops in a certain square, in a square pattern. So now all we have to do is at the end we can simply say possibilities. We get the second index, so this is the last one. If you don't remember, as I explained it, this is the x and y coordinate. So let's just say this is going to be equal to I comma j. And then we return our possibilities array. And then we can say, let's create outside the function, let's say, let's create a variable called p1 equals get all possibilities Sudoku, and then we want, for example, 1, 0, 4. All right, 0, 4, and let's print p1. Let's run it. So we got an error. It says list assignment index out of range. So this is the variable I, and then we repeat it 9 times. All right. So for I in range, so basically for I in range of 1 to 10, you make the value equal to I. So this is what the array should look like. Now let's run it like this. All right, to fix the error, let's just remove this part of the array. All right, let's just keep it like this, with the double brackets, of course. And then here we'll say po.append is 0, and then po.append, and then here in brackets I comma j. All right, so here we can simply return the possibilities array and then print it right here. Not print Sudoku, print it. So all right, this gives us as we expected. So in the position 0, 4, we can have a 2, an 8, and a 9. This is the index. This is the position 0, 4, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one right here. And if we take a look at our drawing, we expected that we could have a 5, an 8, and a 9. 4 we can't have because we put it here, but in this case we didn't put any 4, so we can't have a 4. Okay, so the error comes from the else if statement. So let's make them all if statements, because the else statement causes an error, because this is due to the fact that it checks for an if statement, and an else if means that alright, the error is just caused by the else if statement, so just replace by if statements, and this should fix the error. Let's run it again, and we have 4, 5, and 8, which is the correct possible answers for this box right here. So we have our working get all possible answers function, and then we're gonna keep working on the Sudoku solver in the next video. So stay tuned and have a good